So some of what we're doing in part in light of these challenges, but also in where our vision for the future of the sector is, I would like to point at economic reconciliation with Indigenous people as one area of leadership for the Canadian sector. There is more and more Indigenous businesses in the sector, more and more management tenures that are also managed by Indigenous people. I have a map here showing some examples of tenure now managed either jointly or fully by Indigenous people. The trend is up, but it's now 10% of all the volumes that are managed by the Indigenous people in the country. Our sector is supporting a more carbon conscious construction. And depending on the study you look at, you'll see that when you build with tall wood construction, which is a technique that uses lumber glued together to create these very strong dimensional pieces, these not only can be completed faster because it's material that works nicely, but it also reduces carbon pollution during construction by between 25 and 45%. So it's important reduction in GHG. And not only it is a reduction in the that we would call the substitution effect because you avoid some more polluting material, but also the wood itself will store carbon. So not only you emit less, but you will fill these buildings or what we'll call the urban forest with stored carbon. Also, our sector aimed to be a zero waste industry, making use of wood chips, sawdust, bark, which we use to reimagine the products that Canadians will be able to use every day through a cleaner and a greener lens. Our sector has been reducing its GHG emission also quite significantly since the early 90s. Nowadays, it's 60% of our sector that run on bioenergy. With all these action on climate, we aim to remove 30 megaton of CO2 per year from the atmosphere by 2030, which represents more than 10% of Canada's climate change mitigation target. Very proud to report that we manage globally 30% of all of the world's certified forests. So that's more than twice the amount of any other country. On a map, this is what it looks like, but you can see a vast majority of our managed forests in different shades of green, depending on the system applied. And it's more than 3/4 of all the managed forests that are third-party certified, in part due to FPAC leadership that made forest management certification mandatory for all its members. That was a commitment we made back in the early 2000s. To give a bit of a scale of all of that and a sense of how impactful or not we are on our forests, we should mention that we harvest per year less than 1% of the land base designated for harvest, and that we regenerate every single area harvested.